I now call this meeting of the Committee of the Whole to order at 6:18 p.m. Can you please call the roll?
Ms. Pearson,
Present.
Ms. Chavez, Ms. McCall,
Present.
Ms. Bennett,
Here.
Mr. Carpenter,
Here.
Ms. Haley,
Here.
Ms. Stanford.
Here.
With 6 present, 1 absent, we have a quorum.
Thank you. We will now take a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. As we start each meeting, it's important to remember that the mission of Rockford Public Schools is to collaboratively engage all students in an equitable first-class education for a changing world. Before we go any further, welcome everyone to beautiful Riverdale Elementary School. This is our 4th Committee of the Whole meeting at a school, and we will continue to meet at various locations during the school year. I'd like to thank the Riverdale staff and administration and everyone for welcoming us here and providing a comfortable place for us to meet. I'd also like to thank Kim Pedersen and Aaron Hill, who work behind the scenes to produce the broadcast for our meetings. And I'd also like to welcome Superintendent Student Advisory Council member Ruth Sibun Huang from Auburn High School. We are now on to the regular portion of the meeting. The first item is item 2A, the meeting minutes from December 2nd, 2025. Are there any changes, corrections, or additions to the meeting minutes? And if there is anything throughout the meeting, if you have anything to say, if you could raise your hand, because I can't necessarily see your lights. Thanks. Seeing none, we will move on to the minutes will be accepted as submitted. We will move on to the Planning and Development Committee, and that will be led by Ms. McCall.
Thank you, Mr. President. We will have item A, the resolution providing for the issue of not to exceed $50 million general obligation limited tax school bonds, Series 2026A, for the purpose of increasing the working cash fund, providing for the levy of a direct annual tax to pay the principal and interest on said bonds, and authorizing the execution of a bond purchase agreement with Stifel, Nicholas and Company, Incorporated. I will now turn the floor over to Dr. Greg Brown, the Chief Financial Officer, and Ann Noble, Managing Director of Stifel Public Finance, to discuss the bond sales. Dr. Brown.
Good. Okay. Thank you very much.
Can't hear you. We can't hear him.
It says it's on. Yeah. Well, it's not lit up, so I don't know if something's. Okay.
Thank you.
Try it again here. Yeah, just Give me one of those. All right, calling an audible. Okay, this is part of our facility master planning project. We are about 35 to 40 million into the project right now. So far, we have funded it with corporate personal property replacement tax that had been received in previous years. We're actually at a point now where we do need to start to issue bonds for the next phase of these projects. And we've been working with Stifel Nicholas to do that. And I'm actually going to turn it over to Ann Noble right now so she can give you a rundown on how we've been working through this process and also give you some information on the rating that we just received from Standard & Poor's actually this afternoon. So, Ann?
Thank you, Dr. Brown. Let's just start with an update on the district's credit rating. We did just receive this news this afternoon. In order to sell bonds, you do have to apply for a credit rating, and investors use that rating to determine what interest rate they are willing to lend to the district at. So the higher the credit rating, the lower the interest rate. The district's credit rating came back affirmed at a AA- level. The highest possible credit rating is a AAA. Being affirmed at your AA- with a stable outlook is quite an accomplishment for the district in the current financial environment, coming off of the federal COVID relief funds and the significant reduction in the corporate personal replacement taxes that the district has received over the last few years. Those two things point to some financial pressures, and you can see that in the long-range planning that you all have been doing. And the fact that you have been working proactively to manage the finances of the district and stay on course to establish a balanced budget was really critical in maintaining that credit rating with the stable outlook. So all the work that you're doing on your operating and budget side will translate directly into some lower interest rates for you. So congratulations to you on that. We will have the final rating report from Standard & Poor's tomorrow that we can share with you at your next meeting. It's interesting reading to see what a complete outside entity thinks of the district and the important factors that they emphasize. The bonds themselves, you have two resolutions before you tonight for first reading, and then they'll be on your agenda next time for formal approval. One is for working cash fund bonds, and one is for health life safety bonds. Those together will generate $50 million worth of project funds to apply toward the capital improvement plan that Dr. Brown mentioned. We have modeled these bonds and another $50 million worth of bonds in 2 years at no increase to the tax rate associated with your bonds. We're holding that flat and steady. We have these structured with a 16-year payback at an interest rate that at this point we estimate to be just over 4%. The final interest rate will be set 2 weeks from now when we actually sell the bonds, but that is what the market currently looks like. Obviously, if the sales tax passes, that's on the referendum in March, then the proposed bonds that we've modeled for 2 years from now probably won't be sold in that format. We'll be taking advantage of the sales tax revenue instead. But this gets you started, or allows you to continue the capital improvement plan moving forward with no increase to the tax rate. And with that, I'll answer any questions or anything else you want me to cover, Dr. Brown?
Are there any questions for Dr. Brown or Mrs. Noble? If so, proceed with your question.
I have a question.
Proceed.
Dr. Brown, what is our total sum of bonds that we borrow, outstanding?
I'm gonna have to look up our total outstanding right now. I think it's around 175 million, but I can verify that for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any additional questions? Okay, seeing none, the resolution providing for the issue of not to exceed 50 million general obligation limited tax school board bonds will be brought forward for a vote at the January 20th, 2026 meeting. We're moving on to item B, the resolution providing for the issue of not to exceed 10 million general obligation school bonds series 2026B for the purpose of altering and reconstructing school buildings and purchasing and installing equipment therein for fire prevention and safety, energy conservation, and school, page 1 of 3, security purposes, and refunding certain outstanding bonds, providing for the levy of a direct annual tax sufficient to pay the principal and the interest on said bonds, and authorizing the execution of bonds purchase agreements with Stifel, Nicholas and Company Incorporated. Are there any questions for Dr. Brown or Mrs. Noble on this resolution? If so, speak into the mic. Okay, seeing none, the resolution providing for the issue of not to exceed 10 million general obligation school bonds will be brought forward for a vote at the January 20th, 2026 board meeting. We will move on to item C, FY27 budget discussion. Dr. Brown will now give us an update on the fiscal year 2027 budget.
Okay, as we agreed to when the budget was passed back in August, we were going to provide monthly updates on where we're at financially, and then give you a preview on how we're going on the FY27 budget. So we'll just kick right off here. Our year-to-date actuals continue to show large deficits in the education fund and the operation and maintenance fund, but again, this is really just due to timing of receipts of revenues, and so we're not overly concerned by the fact that we have large deficits in those funds right now. We do believe that the ed fund is still on track for about a $3.5 to $4 million deficit in the core operations, which is what we were budgeting when the budget was approved back in August. We do think that we'll be able to bring the operation and maintenance fund and the transportation fund in at a break-even pace. Our healthcare spend, and this is a little bit of good news, is tracking closer to our budget. It's still about $2 million over what we had originally budgeted, but that gap actually is closing. And the good news is we see that overall deficit, closing down to that $5.5 to $6 million, and that's actually an improving trend. FY27 outlook, nothing's really changed with our projections on that. We are working through, a number of different scenarios right now. The federal funding is still very uncertain. The Congress is actually back. They have taken up a number of bills to actually address spending through the rest of the federal fiscal year, but they still have not tackled the education part of the federal budget. So that's been one of the ones that they are leaving off to the side. So state funding still is unclear. And the one thing that's happening right now with state funding is there's kind of a tug between suburban districts and districts that are outside of the Chicagoland area on what they call mandated categorical funding. So a lot of the suburban districts do not receive a large share of evidence-based funding like we do here in RPS 205. And so what's happened is to be able to maintain the funds that are going into evidence-based funding, the state has actually reduced payments to other districts for what they call the mandated categoricals, which are things like transportation and some special education funding. So districts in the suburb are actually missing out on the mandated categorical payments, and there's a push now by those suburban districts especially to actually have the state put more money back into the mandated categorical funding And what the big concern is that if the pot at the state level remains the same and they put more in mandated categorical funding, it potentially could reduce the evidence-based funding that we actually receive, and that is actually more valuable to us than the evidence-based funding. So we're watching that very closely on what's going to happen down in Springfield in the springtime. So kind of next steps on what we're working on right now. We've met with all the departments to identify savings from our DMG PRISM project that we began last summer. We also have been working with departments to identify savings beyond that process. So it's going to be kind of a two-prong approach on how we're going to go about reducing spending for next year to close up that $13.7 million gap. We are updating our base staffing package at the building level. We're working on that right now. And then, you know, there may come a time here in the next couple of months where we do have to work with human resources on staff surplusing due to revenue uncertainty. And that's up in the air right now until hopefully some of this gets straightened out. So what you can expect at the January board meeting is DMG is actually going to be here to go with a pretty in-depth presentation on what we've been working with on the PRISM work. And then based on that, you know, we're going to ask you if you think that you would need, you know, an additional meeting to take a deeper dive into that. I think they're going to do a really good job covering it, but just in case you still have questions, you know, we'll want to look in the month of February here to potentially have a special meeting. So we'll also bring at the February Committee of the Whole meeting, you know, in a month, some of the items that we have started to identify for cost savings, things that we're definitely going to plan on putting in place for the FY27 budget to get to that balanced budget. I will tell you that I've been on a number of rating calls with Standard & Poor's over the years for various bond issues, not just for District 205, but District 100 as well. This was the most intense process I've ever gone through with Standard & Poor's. We actually had to get with them 3 separate times. Usually you do a rating call once, they get all the information. There was follow-up on two separate occasions after that. And as Ann noted, you know, we felt really fortunate to hang on to that stable rating given the fact that we had such a large deficit last year. So that was a really good thing, but we literally had to walk them through this cost-saving process that we're going through to actually give them the kind of evidence they needed to show that we were serious about bringing a balanced budget back to the district. So we've got to stay on this path that we're on right now. March, you know, I think that's when you'll see, you know, kind of the full-blown, you know, impact of the cost savings that we're proposing. We will be looking for input from you guys. There may be things that, you know, we're kind of iffy on, and we'll be looking for some direction from you, and then probably final action on those identified cost savings. Once we're able to do that, then April, you'll start seeing budget presentations from all the departments. They're going to incorporate in all those budget savings things that we've been working on. May, you'll actually see from other departments, and then the whole consolidated school budget. June, you'll actually get the draft of the overall budget, and as we promised back in August, it will be a balanced budget. July, tentative budget, and then August, we're going to go for final budget presentation. We have an extra month in there if we need it. If we need some additional time, we can actually push final approval back to the month of September, but we really do want to try and get this in good shape so we can vote on it in August. So questions for me on the process that we're going through right now and what you're going to see starting 2 weeks from now on the cost savings?
Questions for Dr. Byrne? Ms. Bennett?
My question is not about the process, but you mentioned updating the base package. Do you know what additional staff would be included in the new base package that is offered?
It's probably just going to be a rearranged. No positions probably are going to come off of it. They just may go on the optional menu to be purchased rather than being a firm part of the base package that's provided. It's really probably just switching categories of kind of what we call the supplemental discretionary menu to be purchased versus in the base package that's a guaranteed ad.
So the menu options, for a lack of a better term, there are more options principals would have to choose from for the base package and the total amount of money they would have for staff, not necessarily choosing the individuals for them. Is
Right,
that-
they're gonna have
okay.
the ability to have money to be able to pick and choose, rather than us saying, hey, look, these things are in the base package. You know, we've already done some of that with some of the buildings, you know, we added attendance specialists a number of years ago. Well, the special program school have an attendance requirement, and so they didn't really necessarily need an attendance specialist, and so we slid that position out and allowed them to plug something else in that might actually better serve their school. So there's some of that kind of goes back and forth between the two packages.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions?
I have a question.
Ms. Stanford?
So, Dr. Brown, you mentioned there might be a possibility of staff surplusing. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure. So, you know, depending on how federal grants work and us not knowing whether that money's going to come through, we do have people that are in those grants right now. We feel like there's going to be positions that are available in the district for people to slide into if those grants don't come through. But those people might have to be surplus out of grant positions and then have to go someplace else until we know the status of those grants. So there'll be a process that will go through.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, Dr. Brown will give us another update at the February Committee of the Whole meeting. Moving on to item D, resolution for the property transfer to the Rockford Park District at Bayer Early Childhood Center. I will now turn the floor over to Mr. Bartell to discuss the requested property transfer at Bayer Early Childhood Center.
Good evening. I'm filling in for Mr. Phillips tonight. For this particular one, the Rockford Park District is renovating Bayer Stadium for the Rockford Peaches, and it requires a small section of property. It's about 495 square feet on the east side of the Bayer Stadium and the west side of Bayer to install a light pole.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, the resolution for the property transfer to the Rockford Park District at Bayer Early Childhood Center will be brought forward for a vote at the January 20th, 2026 board meeting. Item E, intergovernmental agreement with the City of Rockford for site logistics work at Lincoln Middle School. I will now turn the floor over to Mr. Bartell to discuss the intergovernmental agreement with the City of Rockford.
So this one is part of the facilities master plan work. Operations working directly with the city to finalize an intergovernmental agreement with the scope of work for CMT, which is the city's third-party engineer, to be able to complete and incorporate Lincoln Middle School work into 11th Street work that the city's doing. And again, some of that work is aligning with safety and access for that building.
Are there any questions?
I do have a question on that one. The price tag that's associated with this is $650,000. That's the third party firm fee?
That's correct. That's the $650,000 is for the city's work that they're doing, particularly with the 11th Street corridor work.
Okay, thank you.
Mrs. Bennett?
Can you reconfirm or not, or we can ask Mr. Phillips? We talked, I believe, last month about crosswalks. So students leaving Lincoln, going down 11th Street, coming from the front of Lincoln, going down towards 11th Street, there's a crosswalk there. But I don't think there's another crosswalk until the next light down, which is multiple blocks. So in these discussions, I didn't know if there's a safer way for students to cross the street, because some of them just cross the street, and if there was anything we could do about discussions with the city for safer crossing for students.
I'll take that back to Mr. Phillips, but in part of this work, they're constructing a pull-off lane for westbound Charles Street for safe student drop-offs, but I can ask specifically about the crosswalk.
Yeah, specifically for students that walk to and from school. So I'm very excited about the drop-off lane. I think that will help a lot. But in the students that walk to and from school, they're coming from all different ways and just safer ways for them to get across a very busy street. So, thank you.
Mrs. Pearson?
Yes, Mr. Bartel, while you're checking on that, can you also check, because West State is a busy street as well for students to cross. So can you collectively check on those busy streets where students cross to get to school? Thank
Will
you.
do, got it.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, the intergovernmental agreement with the City of Rockford for site logistics work at Lincoln Middle School will be brought forward for a vote at the January 20th, 2024 board meeting. We'll move on to item F, the ELA resource Carnegie Learning Lenses at Marshall Middle School. To ensure continued academic growth for our high-performing students, we have selected Carnegie Learning Lenses on Literature to provide a rigorous virtual aligned curriculum for grades 5 through 8 that maintains the print-to-digital balance our parents value. The resource was unanimously chosen by our ELA team for its focus on the complex reasoning, Socratic style discussion, and its ability to prepare students for high expectations of high school gifted programming. The total investment for this comprehensive 6-year implementation is $121,512.42, which covers all the students and teacher materials, professional coaching, and grade level novel sites. Are there any questions for Dr. Gallagher regarding this item?
Is Marshall, are you referring to, because it's an echo, I can't really hear, the curriculum for Marshall?
Yes.
Are we using this curriculum in any other schools?
I'd have to look into that to give you full confirmation. I don't believe so, but I'll get back with you.
Thank you.
Are there any additional questions for Dr. Gallagher? Seeing none, the request to purchase Carnegie Learning Lessons on Literature as a 5th to 8th grade ELA curriculum at Marshall Middle School will be brought forth for a vote at the January 20th, 2026 board meeting. I will now move on to the preview of consent items. Below is the consent agenda for items for the Planning and Development Committee. We have item A, which is IFB 26-14, West Site Logistics. Item B, Constellation Energy, Electricity, and Natural Gas Contracts. And that will complete the report for the Planning and Development Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McCall. We will now move on to the Stakeholders Committee, which will be led by Ms. Stanford.
Thank you. Okay, it's now time for the Stakeholders Committee portion of the meeting. Let's start by showing our 12-month agenda. Our feature presentation will be about RPS 205's facilities. And we want to remind board members of the opportunities available to interact with our students, families, and community each month. Please make sure you check the board calendar on rps205.com on a regular basis for the most up-to-date information. Now let's look at all the good things happening in our district. Join us this Saturday, Rock Valley College, for Rumble in the Rock and the Athletic Hall of Fame. We'll honor Coach Mel Gilfillan, one of the longest tenured coaches in RPS, and the 2011 and 2014 Guilford Boys Bowling IHSA State Champs. Induction at halftime of the 5:30 p.m. Guilford versus Auburn game. All the high school basketball action tips off at 9 a.m. We celebrated 75 future educators at our fall student teacher celebration. Administration, families, and cooperating teachers from across RPS 205 came together to honor their hard work. Student teachers from 12 university partners also connected with leaders about hiring. East High School music students had an incredible experience at the Coronado. They enjoyed a live performance of the Nutcracker featuring the Rockford Symphony Orchestra and Rockford Dance Company. A wonderful day filled with music, artistry, and inspiration. Supply Corps stopped by Johnson Elementary to present a $2,000 check to support students in need. It's part of their Angel Giving Tree initiative. The donation will be used to purchase winter gear and other items for students with the greatest need this holiday season. The RPS 205 admin building brought the holiday spirit with our ugly sweater contest, and the winners were Ugliest, Andriana Yancey, Cutest, Christina Perry, Best Do-It-Yourself, Kathy Sabuki, Head to Toe, Jess McKelly. Congrats to all our winners. Fairview Early Childhood Center was filled with smiles and laughter as staff brought the gingerbread man to life. Students and families enjoyed an interactive retelling, making this classic story a fun and memorable experience for all. RPS 205 and Tyson teamed up to host the Ultimate Chicken Sandwich Contest. The winners each received a Nintendo Switch, along with a portrait of their creations. Congratulations to Iker at Flynn, Jordan at Auburn, and Connor at Conklin. The sandwiches will be featured on the lunch menu this spring. The Golden Apple Foundation has announced the names of the teachers selected to move forward in the selection process for the 2026 Golden Apple Awards. 9 of the 20 finalists are from RPS 205 schools. These talented 6th through 12th grade teachers were chosen by a committee of community volunteers who had the challenging task of selecting from the nominees. And they are Nicole Frazier from Jefferson High School, Joseph Free from Jefferson High School, Christopher Galetsis, Auburn High School, Greg Johnson, Roosevelt Community Education Center, Amy Kepner, East High School, Justin Sachek, West Middle School, Chelsea Spinello Johnson, Marshall Middle School, Bryce Thomas, Guilford High School, and Anna Weichert, Auburn High School. The process culminates in the selection of 5 teachers who will receive the prestigious Golden Apple Award in March in surprise classroom presentations. Christmas hope was shared at Constance Lane Elementary. City First Church partnered with the school to donate Christmas toys to all K through 5 students. Santa made a surprise visit to help hand out presents to more than 650 students, spreading lots of holiday cheer. Eisenhower Middle School hosted its annual 6th grade Winter Wonderland, a fun winter celebration just for 6th graders. A big highlight was a visit from Hammy, the Ice Hogs mascot, who gave out stuffed animals to students. Whitehead Wildcats bundled up and spread holiday cheer during winter caroling. Families sang favorite carols through the neighborhood, then warmed up with hot chocolate and cookies. A magical night full of music, smiles, and Wildcat togetherness. Next up is items of note with our community partners. Risa Middle School hosted its first Rockford Promise event of the year. Students in grades 6 through 8 learned about the scholarship opportunities and how to stay on track for their futures. This was the first step toward the big Rockford Promise celebration in May. The Rockford Promise Scholarship application is now open through February 5th. High school students can apply for the chance to attend college tuition free. Don't miss this life-changing opportunity. Apply today at rockfordpromise.org. On our 205 Vibe, celebrating Arabic Language Day at Rolling Green, students shared beautiful Arabic writing, flags from around the world, and sweet treats for staff. A joyful celebration of culture, language, and community. Read more on the 205 Vibe. In legislative news, local lawmakers took a student-led tour of the Quad. This facility combines and expands all 4 high school academies, giving students access to state-of-the-art equipment and hands-on learning in their field of interest. The quad is opening doors and preparing students for real-world careers in our community. For some internal and external news, we hosted an RPS 205 Leadership Summit for administration building staff, focusing on the power and future of data and technology. Leaders from across our district are proving what's possible when we use these tools to build smarter schools and better serve students. RPS 205 hosted its first ever regional CDW and Google for Education workshop at the Quad. Nearly 50 leaders from 25 regional school districts explored Gemini, Chrome management, and next-gen classroom tools. A hands-on student component showcased real transformation in action. Brothers for Change held its end-of-year celebration to honor the hard work and dedication of our educators in this initiative. The event featured awards recognizing the impact of their contributions. It's now time for our feature presentation. Please welcome RPS 205's Executive Director of Facilities, Eli Dimish. Eli, the floor is yours.
Thank you. You got my name right, it's Timish. I know it looks complicated on paper, so I apologize for that. So I have a little bit of a cold I'm coming off of, so my voice is a little hoarse, and unfortunately it's obnoxiously nasally too, so I do apologize. But I'm excited to be here and kind of showcase a little bit of what we're doing in facilities and operations and some of the positive things that we're accomplishing. So one of the things that we look at as a facilities is in our RPS 205, we have about 4.9 million internal square footage of buildings. That's 45 buildings that we're over. We're a team of 46 tradesmen, 3 senior managers, 2 directors, and 9 OPs and coordinators. So it's our responsibility to make sure that all 4.9 million square footage is taken care of. So how do we do that? So one of the things is, over the past few years, as a facility team, we've been focused on this big idea, and that's how we can improve the way we work. We improve the places where our students can learn. So one of the big things that we've been focusing on, and kind of our why within facilities, is we look at the schools as a place where kids can come to learn and flourish, and it's our responsibility to make sure that that place is a safe, secure, and comfortable environment so they can get the best education they can, and so that teachers have the best opportunity to present that environment to them so they can learn. And we're doing that in a few different ways that I'd love to highlight this evening. So we're trying to build strong habits and accountability and tightening our systems throughout the district. Our teams are completing more work orders in-house, responding faster, and creating better learning environments across the district. We're teaming up a lot with design and construction, Scott Jensen and his team, to help with those large capital projects. One of the goals there is to help cut costs and save the district money. We bring a lot of that trade work in-house. With our specialty trades, we're able to then take a lot of the man hours and equipment costs off that capital project expenditures and keep it in-house and maintain a better outcome and try to avoid all those change orders and costly things that happen during construction. Here's like kind of a 2-part thing I want to talk about. So connecting facilities and learning. So the first one is the quality of school buildings directly shape the quality of the learning experience. Dr. Jarrett often talks about our front porch. One of the things that we're really trying to push in the district is we want to make our buildings look inviting. We want them to have an appeal to when you come up to our buildings, the grass is cut, the parking lots are well maintained, our planting beds don't have weeds growing in them but are pristine and raked. That shows a bit of pride for our school district. So we're really trying to push both our contractors and our in-house grounds guys to really focus on going through and kind of making our buildings have that presentability. I know when I walk into a building, first thing everybody sees is the exterior, right? You see, how the parking lot looks. Are the lights on? Is the grass kept? Are there weeds growing in the cracks in the foundations? So our big goal here was to make our buildings look presentable. When we pull up, when parents come, when students come for either sports activities or other districts come to our buildings to participate in events, they see a district that takes pride in their facilities, and we're really trying to hammer that home by the way that feel is when we're coming to our buildings. Second part of that is internally. How do we make our buildings look inviting in the classrooms, creating that comfortable environment, a well-lit environment, so that our kids can learn and focus. They're not worried about, is the room cold or hot? They're not worried about the garbage and clutter. They're not worried about lights flickering. They can just be focused and learn. Teachers can then have the best, hopefully, physical environment then to teach our little kids in these buildings, because, we want them to be able to do their job, and they can only do their job if we're doing ours. So our goal is simple: create the conditions where great instruction can thrive. So the big things we're pushing is accountability and productivity. Those things I've been kind of hammering since I've been here in the district, for our guys to when they're going out in the field, to have that in mind. We're accountable for the work we do. We're accountable for our stewardship over this district. We're being productive while we're doing it. Let's not waste time. So we're trying to create that culture where everybody knows their role and they take pride in that work. We're doing that by setting clear expectations for our staff, following through with consistent oversight, streamlining how work orders are assigned and completed, and building capacity to do more work in-house. So some of the things that we've changed to help hit those goals is, our staff, we start early. We're here, some of us are at 5 a.m. in the morning. And the whole idea there is we're here before anybody else is. So that's our prime time for we to get inside buildings, get inside classrooms where education is happening. We can get in there and fix those areas or maintain those areas when no one really sees us. I think the best news is no news in facilities and operations. If we're not hearing complaints, that's a good thing. So I want my guys to be out in the field right away. So when they come in, they clock in, they're ready to go. They're supposed to head out. They have their work order list, and they're getting that done. Now, I understand that we have a system we have to plan and prepare. So I told my guys, at the end of the day, most of us are done at 1:30 or 2:30. Classes are still in session. Kids are still in the buildings. Teachers are still teaching. We can't get a whole lot done during that time. So in the last time of the day, I want them to prepare for that morning. They're talking with their foremen. They're talking with their managers if they need to. They're loading up their trucks with material. They're getting their work order list for the next day. They're trying to be proactive. So when they come in the next day, they're ready to go. Now, obviously, things happen. Emergencies happen. Pipes break. We're all aware of that. Those things are uncontrollable. We just adapt and move to it. Our senior managers now meet one-on-one with all foremen on a weekly basis. So we're trying to cut down the noise. We want our guys out in the field as much as possible. So establishing a structured meeting with each of their foremen once a week, they can help organize those work order lists, organize those priorities, and make sure that they're being as efficient as possible. And then completing and documenting and verifying our time. So obviously that's very important because we're trying to justify what we're doing out there. So being accurate in our work order system, because not only that communicates to us, this communicates to the staff too. When an OP puts in a work order, that's tracked. We see the communication back and forth. They see when our trades guys put in comments. So we want to make sure that is a two-way street there so that they understand where things are at and don't have to wonder why things aren't getting done, but they can check that and see it and verify. And then we're trying to cut down our backlog of work orders. Since when I got here, there's a lot of old work orders back from 2016. That can't be a good thing. So I've tasked our foremen that each week they're assigned 3 to 5 old work orders that they need to verify and close out. So we can clean up those old work orders and get things to where a much manageable pace. And it's showing in the numbers. So within our FMX system, we have a reporting tool. We can kind of pull off some data. So in 2022, our work order completion time was at 62%. So what does that mean? So for us, we have a 14 workday period to where a work order then becomes late. So if you submit a work order, we have 14 days to complete that before it becomes a late work order. So that, for a while, that was, a headache within the district. People would put in work orders, and it would take weeks and weeks and weeks in order to get things done. So trying to, again, productivity and accountability, we want to get that number up as high as we can. So as of right now, we're at an 80%, which, I think it's fantastic. Obviously, there's room for improvement. Pending work orders. So that's, again, those late work orders from 2-3 years ago. We want to clean that up. That used to be in the 3,000s, and actually it's probably a lot higher than that. This is kind of a rough estimate. When this report was created, we were down to 720. So just that, we want to be accountable for our work. We want to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing in these buildings to make them a place where teachers can teach and kids can learn. And so getting that number down to 720, to me, that was a huge accomplishment, and great work seeing that our guys are out there getting after it, make sure that those work orders are getting completed. So the Standards of Service Survey is something that goes out to principals and staff throughout the district. So these are our numbers the last 3 years during the fall season. So you can see that we trended up into the 90%. Again, something I'm really happy for to see that, our efforts are being seen at the district level. Principals, vice principals, athletic directors, they're seeing that effort being put in, responding in a positive way. We did have a drop on empathy to 88. I take responsibility for that because that was the fall of this year, the school year, and we had a short summer. So I did tell my guys, unless it's an emergency or a safety work order, don't do it. We got too many projects we got to clean up before kids come in. So we probably had a drop there, and teachers are wondering, why isn't my stuff getting done? That's probably why. But we're after it now. We're making sure those things get done. So we want to make sure we stay in that 90 percentile range. That's our goal. We're shooting for greatness in facilities and operations. So we want to stay in that 90% during these all these surveys that are taken by our major stakeholders, the principals, system principals, and athletic directors. So I want to kind of highlight some of the stuff that we're doing internally as our trades group. So many people probably in this room are aware of the STEAM project over at West. So the STEAM project was pretty much all done internally with our tradesmen, and besides the grid ceiling, but we did the lighting, we did the painting. It's a beautiful before-after pictures. Pulled out the old ACM flooring, established new carpet, new paint in the classrooms, nice new bright lighting, painted the wood trim, which I think really pops, that nice white. I think it looks just awesome. I love this picture, this before after. This was a through closet in between two of the rooms within the STEAM wing. So just the transformation that takes, putting in obviously the new cabinetry, painting it up, making it look nice, the new flooring, it creates to me just a better learning environment. I did get some pushback, but I love the logo and the floor there. I think that just helps. The kids are in the STEAM program. Let's use that to help them. So getting that little design in there, I thought that was really neat that we could do that for them. Again, just a fresh new look to a space that was otherwise, kind of ordinary. Roosevelt, that was the original carpet that was in there, the original hardware. So we put this carpet in here, this broadloom. Again, all our guys did that. That was all internally done with new fasteners, new hardware, and new carpet. I think it just looks great. It matches the school's colors too, with the nice red. And I think it just makes that space just look fresher and new. So again, we're always looking to progress and be better. And one of those things that we can do in facilities. Some of the things that we're doing right now, too, is we're teaming up with ComEd and Helm to help look at our building envelopes through our building automation system. What can we do to help cut down energy and utility costs, but still maintain the standard in RPS during those working hours? So in doing that, we're trying to save as much as we can with with the technology we have and the systems we have to try to help, one, save the district money on those rising utility costs that just continue to happen, and make sure that we're doing our best due diligence as a steward over those different mechanicals. And then we're trying to also empower our tradesmen to be more proactive and be more responsive, so we're not as reactive. We didn't sign up to be firemen, right? We get that emergencies happen, that we have to go put out fires. but as we're being more proactive, as we're in the buildings, as we're seeing things that need to get done, to create that work order on our own, to get that work order completed. So we're not relying on just the schools and the teachers here and the OPs to do that work, to let us know if things are broken. We want to be more proactive. When we're in these buildings, let's look around, see what needs to be fixed. Let's get to it right away. Let's not wait, till someone has to, put that in until we get out there. Because all that's, it takes time out of their day. That's what we're here for. We're here to support them. I look at it as we're customer service, right? We're here to serve the schools as much as we can, as best as we can. And so by doing that, I think if we can be more proactive, that's going to help everybody out in the long run. So our facilities teams, we're playing a crucial role in supporting the strong learning environments, across the district. By strengthening accountability, increasing productivity, we're making sure every classroom is a place where teachers can teach and students can thrive. We're building better systems and ultimately better conditions for learning one work order at a time. That's my time. Thank you. Any questions?
Are there any questions? I can't see lights, so.
I just want to thank you for the presentation, and thank you for all the work you do in the schools. I think we get a lot of compliments about the facilities reaction to from school administrators about how well y'all work with the school administrators, and we appreciate that. Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, so we're on to board member reflections. Do any board members have anything to share regarding any events you've attended or any interactions you've had in the community? I can't see lights. Is anyone wanting to say anything, Mr. Carpenter?
I did just want to make a report. I guess a number of us had gone to the Tri-Conference in Chicago in November, and I just wanted to report some of the sessions that I attended. Included ones on crisis communications, another on setting your new superintendent up for success, another on superintendent employment contracts, and another that was called You Can't Make This Stuff Up, legal review, and another one called Legally Stumped. So those were the things that I attended and got some good tips from, and things that we used, especially on the superintendent hiring process. So I just wanted to let everybody know that what I at least attended at the conference and how it was helpful for us. Thank you.
Anyone else? Ms. Bennett?
Okay, there were some sessions I attended with Mr. Carpenter, but a few I attended on my own. One was a student panel. They were amazing. So current students, former students all across the state of Illinois. So some students are in career, some are in college, some were flown in for this panel, which was really amazing to see. But one of the cool ideas that they shared was one full day that students in different districts were able to plan their entire day. So they had a non-instructional day of different segments that they chose. They helped plan. They had staff plan, which sounded super cool that other districts were able to figure something like that out. I also attended a legislative session, and so different legislators all across the state to talk about the different needs that their districts for their constituents, sorry, lack of words here, and just different struggles all across the state that we're all collectively having, and how we're all collectively advocating for, increase in funding in lots of different ways. And then also multiple sessions about superintendent contracts, transition planning, and kind of making sure that we continue our momentum and get up and going in the next school year. So, thank you.
Thank you. So just personally, I attended the setting up the new superintendent for success, the superintendent contracts, and one of the general sessions, they were giving awards for best new construction and remodel projects. that I think our quad would definitely qualify for next year. If anyone could see that we're nominated, or however that process is, I'm not sure, but it would certainly be worth it. Anyone else? Ms. Haley?
So I attended several sessions, but one of the ones that really stood out for me was there was a dual language session on biliteracy. And I know that we do, in some of our schools, we do have the biliteracy curriculum. And I think it's very important that we continue that and try to expand it, especially when we're in a global economy. It's really good to catch kids when they're young so that they are able to learn dual languages so that they're able to go out into the world later and explore the world. So I thought that was a very good session, and although some of the other ones I attended, especially hiring a new superintendent, there was another one on legislation, and I was also served as the delegate for our area.
Anyone else? That will conclude our report.
Thank you, Ms. Stanford. Our next committee report will be the Performance and Monitoring Committee, which will be led by Ms. Bennett.
Good evening. Tonight for our feature presentation, we have Principal Gibbons here to talk about Riverdale. And as he's coming up, I want to I think there are around 50 staff members present from Riverdale. So I want to thank you for letting us come into your home and welcoming us here. Thank you for staying. I know it is very late. Just as a future point, we're going to try to move the presentation to earlier in the meeting because I know you work very long days, and we appreciate you staying and all that you do, and I'm looking forward to your presentation. Thank you.
That work? Whoa, all right. All right, thank you guys for having us here, or thanks for us having you here, I guess. First off, I do want to give a quick shout out to those of you, the guys that got here at like 12 o'clock and got our building torn apart and put back together. We look great, so I really, really appreciate that. Also, I do want to appreciate my staff for being here. I know that we'll be back here in 12 hours with kids, so I do appreciate you guys for being here as well. Does this clicker? Awesome. All right, first off, I'd like to just real quick, my name is Tommy Gibbons, not Mr. Gibbons, Tommy Gibbons. I came to Rockford about 27 years ago as a math teacher at Risa Middle School, which I absolutely loved. And I had the opportunity to then be an assistant principal there for probably, I was there about 16 years or so. And then 9 years ago, I was given the opportunity to come over to Riverdale. I didn't know that I was going to be working with some of the hardest working people in our district, which is our elementary teachers. I'm just super, super proud to work with them every single day. So quick shout out to them. This is our Riverdale snapshot. As you can see, we're somewhere between 530 and 550 usually on a regular day. We have a pretty high level of poverty, pretty large group of EL learners. Our mobility rate's pretty high as well. All in all, as you look through this, you can see that we have a pretty diverse population and economically disadvantaged. And I believe that our number is probably a little higher than that. Now that we have this grant, not all of our families will acknowledge where their financial situations are. So I do think that we probably have a little bit higher poverty than is listed. As we look at some of our highlights this year, and we think of over the 23 to 25 year, unfortunately, we've been sitting in that intensive designation, and we've been working really, really hard. The nice thing is that from 24 to 25, we did have a 3% increase in our proficiency within ELA, and we also had a 5% increase in our math proficiency, which is awesome for our kids and the hard work that we've been putting in. If you look at our growth, Within ELA, we've increased by 12 points within our growth, so they may not be at that proficiency point, but they are moving in the right direction, and 5 points as far as our math grows. I think the other thing that's important to state here is that although we didn't make it out of the intensive, we did grow about 14 points within our overall index score, which I feel is a pretty good measure. We missed that cut by just a few points, so I do think it's a shout out to our teachers and the hard work that they've been doing. So some of the things that we've been doing over the last couple of years to kind of move ourselves in this direction, a handful of years ago, we jumped into the science of reading, and we realized that we have a lot of students really struggling within our foundational skills within literacy. So we started a flex grouping model. We saw this over at Westview Elementary. It's a walk to learn model, so that's the W2L there. It's our second year that we've been doing that. And basically that is a first grade through fifth grade entire building flex. So at 1 o'clock or 1:10 to about 1:50, all of our kids get jumbled up and they go to a classroom at their exact need. And we rotate that about every 6 weeks. So that's been one of the things that we've been working on. We've also implemented explicit instruction this year, really with the ideas of helping our students having more opportunities to respond, which we hope increases our engagement in our classrooms. We also implemented CHAMPS, which is a classroom management plan within our building. Just recently, with the help of our building committee and our classroom teachers, we adjusted our PLC structure from our traditional 2 PLCs a month to 4 PLCs a month, and we are doing it weekly. And those are structured along the bag, so we're focusing on behavior, academics, grades, and SEL is what the S stands for there. We just started that in December, so we've only had like 1 round that we've been through, but I'm pretty hopeful that things are going to go well with that. We did notice that our fact fluency is kind of a struggle, so we've been using a little bit of Brian Ponce's Facts on Fire in some of our classrooms to try to help increase that fact fluency, and then we also jumped onto the literacy progress monitoring with M-Class. So those are just some of the things that we're doing, and successes, as mentioned already, our IAR proficiency and growth increased. We've increased our parent communication and connection this year with the help of ThrillShare, Seesaw, and just being out in front of the building when parents drop off. This is our second year of Walk to Learn, and we've noticed that we've got a lot of students that are moving in the right direction. We have kind of an enrichment group, so once they graduate out of our U-Fly program, we put them in an enrichment group, and the number of students that are shifting into that group is increasing as well, which is pretty cool. Through the use of explicit instruction and standards of practice walkthroughs, some of the things that we've noticed is that there's just an overall increase of engagement in our classrooms. We've got a lot of kids that are just, when we do our opportunities to respond as a choral response, like everybody's doing everything in our classrooms versus when I was teaching, if I had a quiet classroom and kids are raising your hands, we thought that was a great thing, but that also meant that little Johnny in the corner was probably sleeping. So we've done a good job with increasing the engagement there. We've decreased our chronic absenteeism. If you look at our trend, 3 years ago or 4 years ago, we were at 84% of our kids were chronically absent. And last year, we actually broke the 50% threshold and got our down to 48%. So that's an amazing thing. We've really increased our MTSS system, making sure that we have all people at the table. Like we've done a good job in the past of siloing behavior, academics, attendance. This year, we've done a good job of pulling that together, and we meet twice a month to talk through that piece, which is great. And then we still do have some pockets of like individual, if it's a child that's just having an academic concern, we still have an academic MTS piece as well. So we're able to tackle more children in a shorter amount of time. Once again, the explicit instruction has done a great job with increasing our attendance, and CHAMPS is just showing our students what they're supposed to be doing while they're here at school. And that's kind of been one of those challenges that we'll talk about in a second. Big challenge, last year we had 6 staff members retire, 6 great teachers retired from our building, and we had to hire in some new staff. So as you look through that, you'll see that we have 9 new teachers. 4 of those teachers or 5 of those teachers are from another either outside the district or another building. And then we have 4 new support staff. So quite a few new people in the building. And then when you look at our staff just in general, 18 of our teachers are considered non-tenured. So that means that they're under that 4-year threshold. So that's a challenge that we have right now. Recruiting and retaining teachers, that's a national issue, but it's a huge issue here because sometimes we can get them in the door. It's a matter of keeping them here has been a challenge. Our attendance and chronic absenteeism, although we've reduced to 48%, that's a lot. When you look at some of our kids missing 2 and 3 days a week, it's a really hard thing to close that achievement gap. So that's a struggle. And then, like, our zone, just in general, like I've mentioned, I've served this population for the last 26 years. Some of my parents are students that I had when I was at RISA. Makes me feel old, but some of our guardians didn't have the best experiences in school and maybe didn't have successes and all of those things. And we're asking some of those parents then to show their students or their children to do some of the things that they struggled with. And that's a real problem that we're trying to work on. So, and then lastly, we talked about our math curriculum. And it's great that we got a nice Tier 1 instruction or a Tier 1 math program a year or so ago. But we're noticing that it doesn't really have like progress monitoring, and there's a lack in the foundational skills. And those are some of the things that we need to make sure that we're tackling with our kids. So closing thoughts. So although we're doing a lot of great things, there's still a lot of things that we need to do. And so these are some of the things that we're looking at for the rest of this year and jumping into next year. First off, we need to make sure that we're tackling those tiered supports for mathematics, whether it's the foundational skills. We do have some students that are upper, so we have to be able to reach all of our kids. Fact fluency goes back to that math piece. Our students really struggle with writing. We work really, really hard on a lot of things with comprehension and things like that, but when it comes right down to it, our kids just don't write enough. And let's just be honest, the IAR is a writing assessment, and so we got to do a better job with that. SEL and behavior, we've got to find a way to talk about what school really is. I feel like maybe we've lost sight of what school is and the purpose of why we're here. And then last thing is supporting our neighborhoods. And one of the things I can say is I've connected with the ROE and Devon LaRosa, and we are working on some parent engagement. Actually, February 9th, we have planned a night where we'll be inviting parents in to have some conversations around school expectations. What do they want for their children? How can we support them? And how can, we do all of those things to help move Riverdale in the right direction? And I think that brings me to the end. So.
Thank you so much. Does anybody have any comments or questions for Principal Gibbons? Ms. McCall.
I just want to congratulate you again on your gains, and thank you all for you and your staff for staying after and everything that you do for the Riverdale community, and then a special shout out to Ms. Gloria back there.
Nah. Thank you.
I have a quick question.
Oh, sorry, Ms. Pearson. Yeah, shout at me.
First of all, thank you very much for the presentation. Will the staff of Riverdale please stand? I can't see. Thank you so much for all that you do. I do have a question in regards to absenteeism. So what is your percentage of walkers that you have?
So since I've been in this building, Riverdale is a 100% bus. So kids are either dropped off in a car or they have a bus here. Due to this is what I was told, is due to the speed limit around our building with 20, bypass 20 here, Kishwaukee and Sandy Hollow. It's too dangerous for kids to walk. So as of right now, we are a 0 walk building.
And we have, and your percentage rate for absenteeism is what percentage again?
Chronic absenteeism is currently 48%.
Did you say 40?
48.
48%.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And you also mentioned a plan to reach parents, but I couldn't hear because of the room is so large.
Yeah, so I'm working with ROE and Devon La Rosa to hold like a parent meeting on February 9th after like we have Institute that day, so he's going to stick around. We're going to bring parents in just to start the conversation of what is school, how do we support you, what do you really want for your child when you bring them here? Because I think we don't really have that conversation with parents. I think sometimes we talk at parents, but don't talk with parents. I think our parent-teacher conferences, we sit down and we're like, here's your kid, this is what you got to do, all of these things. And chances are they struggled with all of those things. But if we have the conversation of like, you're at Riverdale, we want to support you, like what do you want for your child when they come to school? And I think that's where you got to start.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I think this is just a statement. So with an absenteeism rate of 48%, with transportation being provided, is problematic. And it sends a message that there is some greater problems present. My mind frequently goes back to when the State Board of Education representative came. He talked about the symptoms. And so at a 48% absenteeism rate, there are some symptoms that we haven't been able to tap into or address. And I think that it is an opportunity for our district to also collaborate and work with principals to reach parents and how we can get, if you have 100% students that is provided with transportation with a 48% absenteeism rate is overwhelmingly concerning. And students attending school 2 to 3 times per week is even a greater concern. And so I long to see the day that we're able to really collaborate with community members and other organizations to really tackle the issue beyond transportation. Because we know that transportation is a help, but when we see the results of even providing transportation, that let us know that there's a greater problem. So thank you very much for the detailed data, and I'm sure whatever the board can do in any way, you can always reach out to us. I look forward to the school visit. Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions? I have a question if not. No? Okay, so for your, for one of your challenges, you said guardians' experiences with school. So in all the presentations we've had so far, that's not been not that it's not a challenge for other schools, of course it is, but it's one that hasn't just been identified in the way that you have discussed it. So is your information coming from teachers having conversations with parents, students having conversations with staff? Like how do you know that to be an issue to the point that it rose to a level to discuss it here today?
Good question. So I think a lot of this information comes from like informal conversations, whether it's teacher to parent, administration to parent, staff to parent, and just also the fact that, and like I mentioned, like I don't have any like strong data to back this up, but being a teacher in this zone and having some of my former students that I know that struggled with absenteeism, with completion of work, all the things that come with SEL, things like that, are now part of our parent population. And I wonder if the fact that they were struggling themselves, now I'm asking them to do the things that they weren't able to do, is kind of where I'm coming from. I think the other thing is that I've had conversations with parents, and I almost feel that the number one concern that we sometimes hear is that I'm imagining it can be embarrassing for a parent to talk about their success or their failures in schools. And so I think we hide it sometimes by talking about it in a positive way. Like the number of parents that I'll have come in and be like, well, I got expelled out of this school and this school and this school. It's almost as if they're trying to put on this like front, like, because the other side's really painful and really hurtful, and you got to be vulnerable to do that. And that's not something we do a lot of. So there's a lot of feelings that I have there, not strong data, but that's where that conversation is going to come on February 9th, is to get some of that information, because it is probably more of a feeling than hard data.
Okay, thank you. And one last question. So does your school do any work with Alignment Rockford and like the EDI data and kind of the asset mapping and, you know, given your, as you mentioned, your geographical location in the city and the lack of resources that are in this quadrant of the city, and kind of any work with them at all?
So I don't have any partnerships. We do use our kindergarten teachers did complete the EDI the last couple of years, and I think fifth grade did a couple of years as well, to see if there's a trend of the first year's kindergartners. And we definitely look at those maps, and I know that when we first did them, it was designed not to be school zone, but by region of the city. But when you look at it, you definitely see the desert of resources that are in our area.
Yeah, and I would wonder when you have your conversations with parents if that's part of it, right? Like the transportation barriers, all the things that go into the other resources that families and students would want to access just aren't very nearby to you. So,
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And if there's no further questions? Yeah, and Dr. Gallagher is saying for anybody, you're welcome to stay, of course, but any Riverdale staff that would not like to stay for the rest of the meeting, you are free to leave, of course, or stay, whatever you'd like to do. But thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. You guys have a good night.
Okay, moving on to the preview of our consent items. We have a few items tonight, and Dr. Gallagher, as well as a few other staff, are here should anybody have additional questions. For item letter K, Student Activity Fund Management, we have letter L, Rockford Park District Lunch Recess Partnership Proposal for Washington Elementary. Ayana Nadanova, Independent SLP Contractor for Special Education. Presence Learning Addendum for Special Education. Palma Multilingual Solutions Professional Development, as well as Formative Professional Learning. Does anybody have any questions on any of these agenda items? Ms. Pearson.
I just have a question just for agenda clarity. So again, anything new is planning and developing, and anything that you are monitoring is performance and monitoring? So what are we monitoring with the Washington lunch and recess? Or is that
This
there
is an
because we
expansion of
have-
a program that, if you're familiar with the Rockford Park District and the work that they're doing before
Absolutely.
school, after school, and during lunch at McIntosh,
Right.
this is an expansion of that to Washington.
Okay, that's what I wanted clarity on. So the fact that, so if the Park District, for an example, hypothetically, reaches out to partner with, say, Riverdale, that would just be a continuation of monitoring what the global work that they're doing.
Yes.
So there should be no work that the Park District is doing any partnership with any of our schools that should fall under planning and developing.
Basically what they're doing is copying and pasting the work that they're doing at McIntosh and applying it to Washington. So it's not necessarily something new, it's just scaling up work that's already existing in another school.
Okay, so if there,
Sorry. If there was something new, yes, absolutely,
Okay.
that would be in planning.
all
Pardon
right,
me.
thank you for your clarification.
I think the clarifying would be if their scope of work changed. So this is expanding their current scope of work, but if there became a new scope of work or a different type of partnership, that would be in a different area. Is that accurate? Okay. Thank you. Did anybody else have any questions on any of the agenda items? 3, 2, 1. Okay. Oh, okay.
Did you include O in the list that you indicated? You
I
grouped
did,
some.
yes. Yep.
Okay,
Do you have a question?
I
on-
do.
Okay.
So in the executive summary, if this is the one, hold on one second. I'm going to take another look at that. One of these, I thought it was item O, indicated that there were agencies that weren't willing to assist work with their competitors. But I'm gonna double check and see if this item is correct, and I'll email, and probably we'll discuss it at the meeting on the 20th. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes our report for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bennett. We're moving on to item 8, the Governance Committee. Items under item 8 include item 8A, which is a revision to Board Policy 4.10, which reflects a change in the state law requiring that the district's statement of affairs be made available to the public no later than December 1st of each year. Are there any questions?
Again, I'm hearing an echo. Did you list every item?
No, I just said item 8A. Are there any questions
Thank
on 8A? Nope, or are you? And if there aren't any, we'll move on to item 8B, which is a revision to Board Policy 4.30, which reflects a change in state law addressing deposit requirements for financial institutions subject to the Illinois Community Reinvestment Act. Are there any questions about 8B? C is Board Policy 4.80. It reflects a change in state law requiring the district's annual financial report be submitted to the Regional Superintendent of Schools on or before October 15th. Are there any questions to item 8C? D is a revision to Board Policy 5.10. It's updated in response to the Victims' Economic Security and Safety Act, which prohibits workplace discrimination and retaliation based on an employee's use of employer-issued equipment to record a crime of violence against an employee. Are there any questions about item 8D, Board Policy 5.10? Item 8E is a revision to Board Policy 7.150, which is the update in response to the state law requiring districts to establish a policy regarding law enforcement requests at schools, which has to be done by July 1st, 2026. Are there any questions regarding Board Policy 7.150? Ms. Bennett.
I have a question on 7.15 are the administrative regulation. So on page 3, it says, sorry. Okay, on page 3, letter A, under investigation in schools, if the principal requests assistance, a law enforcement officer may conduct an investigation within the school building and/or school grounds and interview students as possible witnesses in school during the school day or during school-related events. So should this situation come up, let's say after school or after hours, like an after-school event, would legal still be able to be contacted after hours, and is it the same number, or what would be kind of the policy or procedure if a coach or somebody needed to contact the legal department?
Cabinet level members and building principals do have my district cell number. I do answer that phone after hours and essentially whenever needed. To the extent that they are having school-related events, they are still mostly during the day and not excessively late at night. So to the extent possible, I will answer emails and/or phone calls if they make them during that time.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions regarding 7.150?
Thank you. So this same policy is the one that we had the in-depth conversation about. So first, I want to thank you for the work that you put into to make this policy as clear and concise to be understood. I certainly trust your ability to manage this from a legal perspective, abiding by both state and federal law. So I want you to know that we definitely appreciate that. And it has been an ongoing, I think that it's been, because of activity, period, there's been a heightened awareness of it, but many things concerning our students prior to the heighten have always been a concern and a priority for RPS 205. So thank you, Attorney Goldsmith, for putting in the work to make the necessary adjustments for the sake of understanding in layman's terms. Thank you.
And Ms. Bennett?
One last question, or statement, I suppose. Would somebody be able to just briefly describe how the training will work for staff to be trained and the, like the record of individuals to be trained, if somebody doesn't mind?
Sorry, could you clarify the last part of that question?
Just the record of individuals to be trained and how that process would work after the vote of this policy at the end of the month.
Right, it would look very similar to what we've done over the course of the last year. I think what we would want to do is formalize that more so. So when we last met, we had stated that when we do have an upcoming, like all principals meeting, or when we meet with our assistant principals, we would make sure that we would have a roster of everybody that was in attendance for that training and make sure that they would sign off for that.
And I would add, I do believe the training is this week, or is it next week? I believe it's set for the 7th is when I believe the Deputy General Counsel will be presenting.
Yeah, we do, yes.
And this meeting is mandatory? This training is mandatory?
Yes, it is. The meeting that Ms. Goldsmith is referring to is the all principals meeting, and that's why I hesitated, because we also do want to make sure that we're covering it with assistant principals as well. So it'll be a series of unfolding meetings over the course of the month.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions on 7.150? Thank you. Moving on to item 8F, which is a revision to the board calendar. Illinois law prohibits this board from meeting on election days, which includes March 17th, 2026. So that was a day we had the board meeting scheduled. We'll have to move that to a different date. We could do that on perhaps the previous Tuesday, which would be March 10th, or perhaps the day after, which would be Wednesday, March 18th, or maybe there's some other dates that other people have ideas for, but just wanted to see what everyone thinks.
When is spring break in March, or is it in April this year?
It's at the end of March and goes into April. Do you have any thoughts? Or
I'm flexible
okay,
except Saturday.
okay. Thanks.
I would also say not Saturday. I would say another Tuesday would work for me.
I didn't hear that last part.
Another Tuesday would work for me.
Okay. The following Tuesday, the 24th, is the fourth Tuesday of the month. It's before spring break. If you want to keep it on a Tuesday, that's an option too. And then our committee of the whole would still be 2 weeks later, so we wouldn't be going back-to-back Tuesdays.
We've done that before.
I know we have, but I'm just saying that's a way to avoid that.
I would be okay with the 24th.
Ms. Haley said she's okay. Ms. Stanford said she's okay with that. So we'll put that on the agenda for next meeting to vote on that change. Okay, thank you. Item 8G is a discussion on the expulsion and abeyance process. We had talked about wanting to have a public discussion about student disciplinary processes, and so that's why this item's on the agenda. And I think Ms. Pearson was kind of leading that request, so I'd start with you if you want to begin the discussion on it.
So I'm hearing an echo again. Can you
Oh,
repeat?
sorry. Item 8G is the expulsion and abeyance discussion, which was something that you had discussed. And if you wanted to start that discussion, this is an open discussion on that topic.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you very much. So I mentioned this to Dr. Lawrence, or Ms. Lawrence, Dr. Lawrence. I don't know if that's coming down the pipe. I don't know. But so expulsion in advance, to many people know that there was once, upon a time, it's not in existence now, a zero tolerance. And although I don't know what the future holds with Senate Bill 100, I think that there was another bill to kind of support that, because that was, in some opinion, too restrictive. So I can see things coming along that could potentially do away with Senate Bill 100. I don't know. I'm not saying that it will, but it is a concern. But the expulsion in advance give students an opportunity. Some may interpret it as a second chance to really get a grip on it and to show up and do what they are supposed to do. The challenge with, from community or a parent's perspective, is the only thing they see is expulsion. And I have advocated in the past that when the emotions are high, that we probably shouldn't pressure parents to sign an expulsion in advance, because, again, they're only hearing expulsion. Emotions are high. You know, some may feel that things have not been looked at closely to really get the details to make such a determination. And so I really can't stress enough, and the plea is out to every every school. I know that student services, I mean, we have given parents second chances to change their mind about signing it. If you fail to sign it, and this is what is so important for individual parents and families to understand, not signing the opportunity to have the expulsion in advance is an automatic expulsion. And depending on what the reasoning for the expulsion is, you put the student in risk of not being educated for a period of time. And we are in the business of educating students. And on rare occasions, there may be an expulsion, but that expulsion in advance is an opportunity that you do not want to miss. If you say no to an expulsion in advance, you're saying no to your child's education. And that is something that really needs to be clarified and understood, whether it is a video clip on the website with the top 5 points or advantages of signing expulsion in advance. We know the literacy or subliteracy or illiteracy even in our adults in our community. So I think that it is very important that we make that very clear and be able to send a clear message with educational, social educational determinants of education. It is important that we really make it clear and explain what a expulsion in advance is. And that is my ask, and I don't know, it comes up when we discussing the student code of conduct, but I still think that there is area of opportunity that we can make it even more plain. And in addition to what expulsion in elementary school look like. It is rare, extremely rare, but it happens. And so I long to see the day that our community, because RPS 205 cannot solve every problem. And I've said it once, I'll say it again, all hands on deck from RPS 205. We're doing, our equity initiative is doing a phenomenal work in reaching out and adding that support. The work is ginormous, and there's no way that RPS 205 can tackle it alone. So what we can do, I do ask that we will do, and that is really simplifying it for a third grader to be able to understand what a expulsion in advance look like and what it means for them, and understanding why it could be for the remainder of the year through the beginning of the next year, or as much as 2 years. I think that we really need to make that very clear with the why behind it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pearson. Ms. Bennett?
Thank you. I think something also that's important to add is for the community and families to understand that there are sometimes things that students do that expulsion in abeyance is not appropriate and would not be the recommendation. So we as the board have to balance safety of staff, safety of students, safety of teachers, and there are some times when families have become aware of an expulsion in abeyance or alternative programming or things that they are requesting, but a student has done something that is significantly egregious and as an extreme safety concern, and there are times when that's not going to be an appropriate response or something that we by law are able to do. So I think families really having an understanding of what the code of conduct is, and that we can't jeopardize safety of all for one student, and of course we want to educate students. I agree with everything that Ms. Pearson said, and we advocate for students whenever we can. But there are some times that, by law, that's not appropriate for the rest of our district, and it's beyond our control, so.
Thank you. Oh, Ms. Pearson, did you have anything else? Or, actually, sorry, let me get
Yeah,
Ms. Haley real quick before, if I can let Ms. Haley talk, since
I'm sorry.
I'm going to let Ms. Haley talk first, and then I'll come back to you.
Oh,
So I know there's an echo in the room and we really can't understand, so I might be repeating something else somebody else said. But to piggyback off of what Ms. Pearson and what Ms. Bennett has stated, parents need to understand that the difference between expulsion and abeyance, but also the term itself. I do get questioned by community members about EIAs, and when they see the list of students, they assume that all of those students are being actually expelled. And maybe, I don't know if we could change terms, but EIAs, expulsion and abeyance, is really just deferred expulsion, or you're staying in school on conditions. We need to clarify what that means, not only to parents, but also to the community, so it doesn't look like we're just, every time we meet, we're kicking out or expelling 20 to 30 students, when that's not the case. They're actually given an opportunity to redeem themselves and be scholarly and good citizens in the classroom. So that, I think, needs to be clarified with the public as well as with parents, and further, if a parent doesn't sign an actual EIA, then the student is expelled.
Thank you, Ms. Haley. Ms. McCall?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to reiterate, we're doing this for public information to make sure that parents and everybody understand the terminology and things that are associated with the expulsion and abeyance. And I also wanted to thank Mrs. Lawrence and Mr. Graffey for their continued efforts on trying to relay that message to impacted parents and guardians that come across this type of terminology and these type of discipline actions. So I just want to thank you guys again, and I want to make sure that we're just trying to make sure everyone's on the same page in understanding the terminology when it comes to this particular disciplinary actions. Thank you.
Ms. Pearson, did you have something else?
I just want to add this. I think about how, and I've gotten feedback from parents where it relates to their child's behavior, specifically if they're challenged in reading. So if they're in class and they're called upon to read and they're challenged in reading, they become defensive and they act out and they figure out a way to get put out of class because they don't want that side of them revealed. So imagine being an adult and you're called, everything is legitimate, that the child, broke the rules, violated the student code of conduct, whatever the case may be. Do you really think that parent is going to tell you that they cannot read? They will become defensive and emotions heighten because that is their escape. And I'm just asking for sensitivity that we go another extra mile, because I think that Ms. Lawrence and her team have done a phenomenal job in trying to make things very clear. But these are just the times that we're living in. And so we have to do something to make sure that it is understandable. So if someone can circle back around, because I mentioned the video method over 2 years ago for the sake of communicating particular items, because I visited a school, and the principal shared with me that a parent finally reached out to the principal and asked not to send notes home because they could not read. And that is a huge societal issue. It's just not that family's issue. Being unable to effectively read affects our entire community. And it has become a problem for all of us because it kind of spirals. So if I can get a resolution in that area of how we can communicate the acronyms that we use and, clear definitions in a video clip, that would be absolutely wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Did anyone else have any other comments or questions on this topic? I just did want to thank, I think mainly Ms. Pearson for getting this on the agenda, for bringing it up for board discussion, and it is an important topic, and student discipline is an important topic, and the code of conduct, and we spent a lot of time on that. But I guess I just want to point out, Ms. Lawrence has told us before what the approximate percentage of students who have 0 code of conduct referrals is, and it's like 80% or something like that, if I remember right.
Yeah, so, over the last, since we revamped the student code of conduct, we've been taking really good data and looking at level 1, 2, 3, and 4 violations across the district. And over the years, it's just getting better and better. Our discipline drops by 50% every year since we revamped the code of conduct, and that's not because we changed how kids are disciplined. It's because of the work that those teachers that are sitting in our audience are doing every day, and the work that our support staff are doing every day with our students. Identifying problems early, intervening early, providing alternative placements. You all approved SOAR, and we have 30 students there right now that could have been on EIA agreements or expelled because their behavior is egregious and they need additional support. So our percentage is in the high 80s, if not 90% at this point of the school year, this year, of students have not violated the code of conduct at all, not even a tardy.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We're moving on to the item 9, which is the preview of governance consent items. Are there any questions regarding the governance consent items, which are items 9A, meeting minutes, and 9B, the Freedom of Information log? Seeing none, we're moving on to item 10, which is the petitions and communications portion of our meeting. When we invite the public to make comments, slurs, profanity, harassment will not be tolerated. Should any speaker use unacceptable language, they may be directed to immediately surrender the remainder of their speaking time and may be restricted from public comment in the future. The board will not respond to the comments at this time. If it's appropriate, you will be contacted in a timely manner by staff. The speaker will be allowed no more than 5 minutes to address the board, and it is not appropriate to discuss matters that would otherwise be confidential in these open meetings. There's a digital clock that will show the time for 5 minutes, and our speaker tonight is Craig Corcoran.
Hello? Yeah. Thank you to Riverdale. Thank you. They all left. All right, so our goal, to recruit and retain high-quality professional staff. Compensation must reflect the realities of today's competitive educational landscape while ensuring market competitiveness. Each year, critical teaching positions go unfilled, particularly in areas like special education, math, science, and bilingual education. As the Executive Director of Talent Acquisitions for RPS stated on April 15th, 2025, the national teacher shortage has only intensified our local challenges, with western suburban districts actively recruiting Rockford educators through significantly higher pay. This isn't a staffing problem, it's a quality of education crisis. In the RPS legislative priorities, it was clearly stated the teacher shortage crisis impacts districts across the nation, but in our area, it's become especially challenging to fill positions in high-need areas. Addressing this shortage is critical to maintaining quality education for every student. REA survey conducted on October 2024, 50% of our educators reported actively seeking employment elsewhere. 21% have already applied outside the district. 45% are considering leaving the profession entirely. 20% hold a second job just to make ends meet. Additional, RPS loses 50% of new hires within the first 5 years. At the same time, our teachers face escalating challenges in the classroom. Jen Lawrence's Code of Conduct listening session revealed surges in the following: student vaping and drug use, physical aggression, chronic low-level misconduct, and the growing demand for alternative learning environments. According to the 2025 ISB exclusionary discipline data, Rockford ranks 22nd in the state for overall suspensions and 10th for expulsions out of over 800 districts. We want to acknowledge that our students come from difficult situations and those bleed into our schools, but we are committed to our students and our community. Looking at Belvedere, Hononegah, Elgin, RPS is 24% less than these districts' starting salaries, and yet another 18 to 20% lagging behind their highest scheduled salaries. And RPS 205 salaries significantly lag behind the other 800-plus districts in Illinois. There are 18 districts in the state that have a student population over 12,000. Of those 18 districts, RPS ranks 16th for beginning salary, 17th for end-of-career salary. Meanwhile, administrative salaries continue to increase. The district noted that the base increase was 4%. However, some individuals received more due to the market. In contrast, in 2021, since the last REA contract was negotiated, salary growth has been 2.7% per year for entry level, 1.3% for maximum scheduled salary people. Over the same period, the consumer price index rose 24.9%. Teachers also took on a 6% increase in insurance. During these same times, the average increase for the REA member was average between those high and lows, 2.55%. The salary line item for the rest of the people in RPS increased by 11.4% per year. Current information in the district fiscal 27 projections for the salary line items show an increase of 4.91% for this school year 27, an increase of 4.87 for school year 28. Current financial documents demonstrate an increase in the salary line item of 5.22% from school year 24 to this school year of 2025. The combined difference in the actual and the district's salary increases varies from what the REA is bargaining by less than 1.5%. You have said that it costs $2 million per percent. That is $3 million that we can't settle a contract for. The retirement pipeline that we're trying to negotiate has been said to save the district $1.15 million per year, cumulative over 3 years. The first year that saved you $1.1 million. The second year, $3.45 million. The third year, $6.9 million for a cumulative total of $11.5 million. Yes, the school board has approved $300,000 for teacher recruitment in March of 25, a step in the right direction. But recruitment without retention is not a solution. Quality educators must not only be hired, but must be valued enough to stay. These aren't opinions, these are facts drawn from your data, our data, and the experiences of our educators. We have reached this point together. Now we must come together again, not just to acknowledge these realities, but to boldly reimagine what's possible for our students, our staff, our community. Thank you.
Thank you. And before we conclude, we had a message from Ms. Fromm for the board members that everyone needs to log into using your email address and current password. Also, that Diligent will not be available on Saturday, January 17th, because it's integrating. If you have any questions, please contact Ms. Fromm, and if you need any documents, she will have them to share with you. Other than that, I would take a motion and a second to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you all.